In our last investigation, we discovered that the American Revolution was not fought only on battlefields. It was fought in farmhouses, in kitchens, in letters carried across a nation at war. Abigail Adams became the eyes of the revolution, documenting events from the front lines of daily life while the future of a nation hung in the balance. But information alone cannot sustain a revolution. Armies need food, governments need money, and rebellions need something even more powerful, an idea. Revolutions are won twice, first in people's minds, then on battlefields. Before Americans could fight for independence, they first had to believe independence was possible. And some of the most dangerous weapons in that struggle were not muskets or cannons. They were words. If women were excluded from political office, barred from military service, and largely absent from official histories, how much of the revolution depended on them? Tonight, we continue the investigation. While members of the Continental Congress debated philosophy in Philadelphia, a different kind of war was being fought in the parlors of New England, an intellectual war, a war over language, a war over legitimacy, a war over who would control the public imagination. History often casts women of this era as spectators to great events, but Mercy Otis Warren refused the role of the spectator. She understood that the crisis unfolding between Britain and the colonies would eventually reach even the quietest cottage. If the revolution was to survive, it needed more than soldiers. It needed believers. Empires are not sustained by force alone. They are sustained by authority, by reputation, and by the belief that power deserves obedience. Mercy Otis Warren dedicated herself to attacking that belief. She dipped her pen not only in ink, but in rebellion. John Adams would later describe her pen as an eagle's talon, and few writers of the era wielded it more aggressively. To understand how radical this was, we must understand the world she inhabited. The prevailing assumptions of the 18th century placed politics beyond the accepted boundaries of female life. Women were expected to observe, not intervene, support, not lead. Mercy ignored those boundaries. By writing political satire, she entered one of the most aggressively nailed spaces in colonial society, the arena of public opinion, the arena of political warfare, the arena where revolutions are either strengthened or destroyed. In 1775, she published The Group. Not a cautious essay, not a polite disagreement, a devastating satire. Its villains were corrupt office holders, opportunists, and defenders of British authority. Characters like Hadal and Simple Sapling became symbols of greed, ambition, and submission to imperial power. Her goal was not simply to entertain, it was to persuade, to undermine confidence in the British political system, to convince ordinary readers that imperial authority was neither noble nor inevitable. This is where the archives reveal something important. Mercy was not fighting with muskets. She was fighting for perception. And perception often determines the outcome of conflicts long before armies march. Her writings circulated through Patriot communities. They helped shape a political culture increasingly willing to challenge British authority. The revolution's intellectual foundations were being laid not only in Congress, but in private homes, and women helped build them. Yet Mercy was not the only woman transforming the meaning of the revolution. Because while she attacked British authority through satire, another woman was redefining liberty itself. Her name was Phillis Wheatley, and her story challenged nearly every assumption of her age. kidnapped from West Africa as a child and sold into slavery in Boston. Wheatley entered a society that denied basic rights to people who looked like her. Yet she became one of the most celebrated poets in the colonies. She did something extraordinary. She took the language of her captors and used it to articulate a vision of freedom. A vision so powerful that it could not easily be ignored. Every poem she published carried an uncomfortable implication. If liberty belonged to all humanity, how could a nation demanding freedom justify slavery? The contradiction was impossible to miss. For many Patriot leaders, the revolution was a political struggle. For Wheatley, it was also a moral one, a contest over the meaning of human freedom itself. By describing America as a heaven-defended cause, she infused the revolution with spiritual significance. She transformed political arguments into moral arguments. Her influence reached far beyond literary circles. George Washington himself praised her work and invited her to visit his headquarters. It was a remarkable moment. The commander of the Continental Army publicly acknowledging the intellectual power of a formerly enslaved woman. Mercy Otis Warren and Phillis Wheatley fought different battles. One used satire, the other poetry. One attacked authority, the other expanded the meaning of liberty. Yet both were shaping the revolution long before many soldiers ever fired a shot. Together, they reveal a truth traditional histories often overlook. The female pen was not standing outside the revolution, it was helping define it. But for some women, words alone were no longer enough. Mercy Otis Warren fought with satire. Phillis Wheatley fought with poetry. Others would choose a different weapon, the musket. And hidden within the military records of the revolution lies a secret the battlefield tried to bury. A secret written beside a name, Samuel Gay.